Organon of Medicine. The subject deals with the fundamentals of homeopathy. Without understanding Organon of Medicine, one cannot understand homeopathy. And once a person starts his reading Organon of Medicine and he goes on studying Organon of Medicine for a longer period of time, the only person will become eligible to understand and to fathom the beauty of each and every aphorisms. Because these aphorisms are the true sayings by the master, which conveys a meaning to the reader, not only to read, to apply into his day-to-day practice. And if one can understand this and can apply the meaning given in each and every aphorisms, his life and living become the same. What he is doing, what he is believing, or what he is believing, he is doing the same thing. That is what the true presentation of the self. And Organon makes us to present us to the world in the form what we are. The dictionary meaning of word Organon is literary work. This word has been first introduced by the Greek philosopher Aristotle. The collected article on logic by Aristotle are known as Organon. After the Aristotle, in the period of 1571 to 1626 AD, Lord Bacon of England has appeared to guide the scientists and philosophers of the 17th century. Bacon was the father of objective and realistic tradition in modern philosophy, and he indicated the method of inquiry. Though Bacon is not credited with any remarkable discovery in any branch of learning, he indicated the method of achieving the real success in any sphere of human activity, and he has discussed the obstacles which stand in the way of man's realizing the truth and nothing but the truth. Bacon was concerned more with the advancement in the learning in general than with any specific department of human knowledge. He emphasized that truth is a daughter of time, not of the authority. According to Lord Bacon, man does nothing more in art. Man brings things nearer to another or put them further apart. The rest is performed by the nature, and on most occasions by means of which we are quite ignorant. As for example, a surgeon brings the two-part or torn tissue as close as possible by ligature, but the healing is affected by the vital force inherent in the living body. Thus, it is evident that the art only gives certain powers of nature a particular direction. Medicine is the art by which such a particular direction is given to certain powers of nature as to enable them to check disease, alleviate pain, or prolong life. Lord Bacon has wrote his book on the subject New Method of Inductive Reasoning. It means logic. And he has used the word Organon in the second time in the history. And he has given name to his marvelous book as Novum Organum. This novum organum contains the inductive logic, the method of inquiry. Dr. Hahnemann was much influenced by the Lord Bacon's novum organum because he was much impressed by the method of inductive reasoning and the method of inquiry. And that is why he has given the same name to his masterpiece as Organon of Rational Art of Healing. And this is how the Dr. Hahnemann has used the word organon for the third time in the history and for the first time in the history of medicine. The word organon means a tool or a method of scientific investigations. Organon of medicine means the method of scientific investigations in the field of medicine. Many times it happens that most of the students makes mistakes that Organon is a book. It's not a book. It's a method which guides us how to behave to investigate scientifically in the field of medicine. And that is why Organon of Medicine is a guidebook to an investigating mind who wants to know how to investigate scientifically, how to investigate in a realistic way, how to investigate the way which is true. And that is why Organon of Medicine is not only meant for homeopathic students. It meant for all the physician who wants to proceed in the scientific investigations. In the history of medicine, Dr. Hahnemann was the first who has suggested the method which we adopt in medicine to treat a sick should be based on science and scientific principles. Because at the time of Dr. Hahnemann and before the time of Dr. Hahnemann, there were methods of treating the sick. But those methods are empirical methods. A hearsay methods, the method which are based on anti-speculations and guesswork. The methods are not came from the qualified experimentations and qualified verifications. And that is why Dr. Hahnemann has suggested that the method we adopt in medicine, in the art of medicine, should be based on science and scientific principles. The method of treatment of a sick or a living organism or a suffering living organism should be based on scientific principles which are observed in the nature, experimented by the masters, and repeatedly verifiable by all kind of physicians. That has been suggested by Dr. Hahnemann. In the history of medicine, Dr. Hahnemann was the first who has suggested the method which we adopt in medicine to treat a sick should be based on science and scientific principles. Because at the time of Dr. Hahnemann and before the time of Dr. Hahnemann, there were methods of treating the sick. But those methods are empirical methods. A hearsay methods, the method which are based on anti-speculations and guesswork. The methods are not came from the qualified experimentations and qualified verifications. And that is why Dr. Hahnemann has suggested that the method we adopt in medicine, in the art of medicine, should be based on science and scientific principles. The method of treatment of a sick or a living organism or a suffering living organism should be based on scientific principles which are observed in the nature, experimented by the masters, and repeatedly verifiable by all kind of physicians. That has been suggested by Dr. Hahnemann. Organon of Medicine has been written in aphoristic style because this style of writing was very popular at the time of Dr. Hahnemann. The various editions of Organon of Medicine contains various numbers of aphorisms. Dr. Hahnemann has introduced these aphorisms as per the need as well as per his experimentations and the verification of these experimentations. So this variation in the number of aphorism suggests the flexibility of the Hahnemannian approach. Lord Bacon also wrote his book Novum Organum in the aphoristic style. The same style of writing also appeared in the Sanskrit as shlokas or mantras. In Persian, it is known as rubai. If you can take example of Gujarati literature, these are the dohas and chappas. This all kind of true sayings are known as aphorisms. Especially in Organon of Medicine, it is aphoristic style. An aphorism is also known as paragraph or short saying. These aphorisms are interconnected, or we can call it they are the interlinked with each other. In Organon of Medicine, one aphorism is connected with the previous one and the next one. So, if one clearly understand or perceive these aphorisms, it is like a poem or a harmonious novel for the reader. One don't has to remember it or to mug it. One has perceived what has been said. So it is like a poem, a living poem for the reader who has perceived each and every aphorisms. In Organon of Medicine, Dr. Hahnemann has given further explanations to the aphorisms in the respective footnotes. These footnotes are the further explanation to the aphorism. These are the supplementary to the aphorisms. These footnotes will help us to understand the aphorism in a better manner because they contains the supplementary data which is from the reliable sources. These footnotes are given at the bottom of the page and they are not interconnected or interrelated like an aphorism. They are separate and only explaining the related aphorisms. Now we have came to the most difficult part of understanding of Organon of Medicine because it is purely based on science, but it requires a physician who is skilled in the artistic band of mind, because the study of Organon of Medicine is based on the observation of natural facts. Organon of medicine is based on natural phenomena, their experimentations, their verifications, and their applications according to the natural laws, which gives a freedom to the physician to apply the science and the art in an integrated manner so that to cure the sick. Dr. Hahnemann, throughout of his life, has spent his time for the work of our beloved science, homeopathy. Homeopathy is mainly based on Organon of Medicine, which is known as the fundamental philosophy of homeopathy. Do you agree with me? I know you are. Because, no doubt, we have the subjects like Materia Medica, homeopathic pharmacy, and repertory. But generally we utilize this subject as our tool to apply the underlying laws. I am not saying that these subjects are not homeopathic one, but without Organon you cannot apply Materia Medica. Without Organon you cannot apply homeopathic pharmacy too, and without Organon it is very difficult to think of repertorization. If you are agreeing with this, you will understand the importance of studying Organon of Medicine while practicing homeopathy. Nowadays we are seeing that many of our colleagues are doing homeopathy by bypassing Organon of Medicine. Are they doing homeopathic practice? According to me, no. And if a person is doing homeopathy without following Organon of Medicine, he is merely using homeopathic medicines only. He is not doing homeopathy at all. That is what my understanding is. We may differ, but what I have perceived, that this Organon of Medicine is mainly divided into two main parts, doctrinal part and practical part. The doctrinal part teaches us the laws, and the practical part teaches us to how to apply these laws. Dr. Hahnemann has wrote 6 editions of Organon of Medicine. The first 5 were published during his lifetime, and the last one, the 6th edition, was published after his death. This 6th edition is known as controversial edition because many things appeared in this edition which were completely against or which is not mentioned by Hahnemann any time before. That is why many homeopaths are considering these editions as an unreliable edition, and they believe that Madam Hahnemann has made some changes in the writings of Dr. Hahnemann. Apart from Organon of Medicine, Dr. Hahnemann has published some articles before the publication of the first edition of Organon of Medicine. These articles are known as precursor of Organon of Medicine, or we can call it forerunner of Organon of Medicine. These articles were published in the different journals.